The Patriots did a pretty bang-up job filling out their roster in free agency, but left tackle remains a glaring hole on the depth chart that the team has yet to adequately address. Mike Vrabel and company have said they're keeping their options open at the number 4 overall pick, but if Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter doesn't end up falling to them, it's going to be pretty tough to pass on one of the class's top 2 offensive tackle prospects. So today, I'm breaking down LSU's Will Campbell and Mizzou's Armand Membou, comparing them as left tackle prospects, and seeing who I personally would prefer if the Patriots end up going offensive tackle with their top pick.
Campbell and Membou actually have a lot in common, and not just because they were both SEC Tigers in college. Each stayed local after high school, with Monroe native Campbell going to LSU and Lee Summit native Membou playing a couple states over at Missouri. Campbell was a consensus All-American in 2024 after being named AP Second-Team All-SEC in 2023, which was an honor Membou earned last season. The former conference rivals are also top-tier athletes, earning at least 9.9 relative athletic scores out of 10 among offensive tackles. But there are some key differences in their size, speed, and explosiveness measurables. Membou comes in at a subpar 6'3", an inch and a half shorter than Campbell, but weighs an elite 332 pounds, and while Membou's 33.5-inch arms are less than ideal, he has a pretty significant half-inch on Campbell and a broader 82-inch wingspan. Membou also tested slightly faster and more explosive. Pointing out these differences may seem like splitting hairs, and to a degree it is, but in the game of inches, these seemingly small gaps can make a big difference, and that was somewhat reflected both in the stats and on tape. Campbell and Membou were focal points of their rushing attacks, but Membou earned a top-tier 87.1 PFF run block grade compared to Campbell's 69.7. Between walling off, uprooting, reaching, and cutting off defenders, Membou showed he could do it all in Missouri's outside zone scheme, and many of his blocks ended with his assignment getting either tossed or pancaked to the ground. On downhill concepts, Membou uses his size and power to displace linemen and bury linebackers unfortunate enough to get in his way. He also spent time on the left side in unbalanced looks, and although he didn't look quite as comfortable as he did on the right side, this could aid in a potential position switch if Patriots coaches deem him a potential fit for the left side of the offensive line. Though Campbell wasn't a PFF darling as a run blocker, he was a force in LSU's inside zone and counter-heavy scheme, which often asked him to pull across the formation and track down linebackers. Campbell's at his best on combo blocks, where he can get a piece of down linemen before climbing the overmatched defenders at the second and sometimes even third levels. Like Membou, he plays through the whistle and seeks out chances to dish out punishment, though Campbell was flagged for some overzealous blocks at times. Campbell wasn't asked to block outside zone very often, but he has strong hands and enough range to help open up lanes between the guard and tackle, and occasionally even outside if he's able to latch on and keep defenders in his grasp. Balance was an issue for both prospects on their run blocks, and they struggled to sustain on outside zone against long-arm defenders, but between their flexibility, power, and very aggressive play styles, it should make them impact players in anyone's ground game. Though I think Membou would be a better fit in specifically outside zone schemes. As effective as they are as run blockers, Campbell and Membou are even more impressive in pass pro. Campbell's success stems from his patience, active footwork, titanium grip, and a stout anchor. When these tools come together, they're more than enough to make up for any of his physical shortcomings. Here, Oklahoma edge rusher R. Mason Thomas sets up in a wide alignment, giving him a runway to build momentum and putting Campbell in a tough position 1v1. The left tackle sets vertically to get depth on a longer developing drop back, and Thomas tries swiping his outside arm to win the corner. Campbell then pulls his hands, knocking Thomas off balance, and puts the clamps on his defender to open a scramble lane for his QB. Campbell's resume in college football's toughest conference proves he can hang outside at the next level, and his intangibles make him a perfect fit for Vrabel's new-look Patriots. But in a class without a surefire stud at left tackle, he's not exactly a home run at number 4 overall. Campbell's subpar measurables have been overblown to an extent, but they aren't insignificant. Long arms keep defenders at bay, and a broad build can afford a wider margin for error against finesse moves. Having neither makes reactive athleticism, coordination, and technical proficiency non-negotiables at the NFL level. While Campbell offers all three, he also allowed 2 sacks, 5 hits, and double-digit hurries last season. Stats rarely tell the whole story in football, and there was blame to go around on some reps, but many were clean losses to Campbell's edges, particularly inside against fellow 2025 prospects. Arkansas's Landon Jackson beat his two-hand punch with cross chops twice, Kyle Kennard took advantage of oversets to win inside on a couple of reps, and Nick Scorton notched a clean victory on a spin move. Improved technique will help Campbell moving forward, especially if he can play longer by relying less on his two-handed punch, but when facing the best edge rushers on planet Earth, technique only goes so far. I have no doubt that Campbell can dominate fringe starters and compete with higher quality rushers, but he'll likely need help against the Myles Garretts and Aiden Hutchinsons of the world, who are both polished and freakishly talented. Membou as a pass protector comes with fewer physical question marks and had a better season, at least on paper, in the same conference, giving up 0 sacks or hits and allowing just 8 hurries. While Membou has his share of warts, the clean losses in Campbell's film were pretty much absent from any Membou tape I could get my hands on. His quick feet, wide frame, and independent hand use make him tough to beat on an island, and his combination of poise and body control can make up for imperfect positioning. Here, Membou takes an aggressive set against Scorton. The edge rusher then takes 2 steps before faking inside, prompting Membou to do the same before attempting a spin to the outside. The right tackle effortlessly mirrors Scorton, keeps himself protected with a firm outside hand, and ends up stalling the rush on a quick throw. Membou was susceptible to bull rushes due to an occasionally narrow base and some inaccurate hands, and the right side of Missouri's line was also leaky at times versus stunts, but it's tough to know just who is at fault on those kinds of snaps. If Membou can steady his anchor at the next level, he's going to be very difficult for rushers to beat one-on-one. And unlike most right tackle converts, Membou has the quickness and mobility to man either tackle spot, so he could be the future on the left side or Morgan Moses' future successor. And in an era where everyone has at least 2 lethal pass rushers, both tackle spots are premium positions.
Now, while I personally prefer Armand Membou because of the physical upside that I see on tape, the Patriots really can't go wrong with either one of these tackle prospects. While neither of them is perfect, and no draft prospect ever is, they're both extremely athletic, crafty, and tone-setting blockers who I think are going to be franchise tackles for whichever teams are lucky enough to take them. Thank you all so much for being members of Patriots Press Pass. Make sure to leave comments on this video for any recommendations on videos you'd like to see in the future, as well as anything that we could do to help make this the most high quality product for all of you.